Yes.
Speaking of faking it, hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Fearless Flight Live. I am your, I don't know what I am this week. I'm a little bit running low here. I'll start out with some stories here. Anyway, welcome Diane and Eric. Eric from the North Country, Diane from her home, comfort of her own home, and Dieter from Toronto. I really got bummed out today. This is not related to FearlessFlight. Well, maybe it is related to FearlessFlight. I don't know. Dieter and I have been working on this thing. We were blessed with one of the probably some 15-year-old in some foreign country who decided to encrypt one of our servers, and we can't get in it unless we pay him 0.05 Bitcoin, which today was $1,015.10. So I spent about 2 or 3 hours with a guy from the company that manufactured the server that we have, trying to just get it to where he can look into it and see if they can bypass that. It basically extortion and all that. So kind of bummed me out. And I'm not a big proponent of the death penalty, but I would make an exception in this case if I could get my hands on whoever did that. It's really frustrating, especially when you kind of consider yourself a good guy, or good guys, I should say. So anyway, I don't know.
And Chief, you got to figure that's a little kid for going for a ransom that small.
Yeah. Well, I told Ron, it's all a matter of perspective. We had a hospital up here in our province, actually, that got locked out of all of their patient records and financials and stuff like that.
Yeah, this tech.
And for us, it was just archiving, so we're good in terms of operational stuff.
I had a similar. This tech lives in. They work in California now, and he said on the way in there was a big hospital that just got hit today too. So certainly there's a lot worse things that can happen. So I'll do. Here's my little gift from my Danish student Mai. It's called a Optimist.
Oh,
Really cute.
So cute.
So anyway. All right.
Cool.
We all need one of those. We do.
Yes.
On to bigger and better things. We're of course, we always want to remind you that the show is for anybody who's got a fear of flying, or knows somebody with a fear of flying, or lastly, if you're just interested in aviation, we do talk about the industry and even a little bit of ticketing and enjoyment from time to time. And we have a Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather group. It's a private group for people who are in the program, either in the beginning, in the middle, or hopefully coming out the other end. And it's a great resource, well over 1,000 strong now, for people who are there to support each other. And some really good comments. We had let's see. I wanted to acknowledge Ellie Ritchie, who flew this morning from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. Bless her heart. She's been working on that for a long time, and she made it. And I told her we'd give her a shout out for that. And that's the main thing.
I have a shout out too. Ty Tavares. Ty's been watching for many months, and his flight also ended up being so much better than what he could have hoped for. And
so, we talked the other day, and he had a really much better experience than what he anticipated going from Portland to Salt Lake the other day. So
that's the nature of anticipatory anxiety. It just doesn't let you anticipate a positive outcome.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder that we're not kidding. You can really do this, and you can get better. People ask me what's the best thing to do to get over my fear. First thing is to buy a ticket. Nothing sets it in motion than doing that, and just put one little hop set in front of the other, and you'll get to the airport. And by all means, get on the airplane, because your chances of getting over your fear go up 100% if you actually get on the airplane when you get to the airport. So tonight we want to highlight the Clear for Takeoff 301. That's our graduation flight, and then kind of a normal progression would be to either do some coaching or primarily enroll in the Clear for Takeoff 201 class, and then as you get ready, if we can put it together in your area, which we have for Phoenix coming up and Los Angeles, then you can come and join us at the airport We got several people signed up for Phoenix and Sacramento. There's still room for others there. Let me launch the. I'll put the latest fares up there. You guys can't see anything yet, right? Just
Not quite yet.
but now you should be able to.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the most important thing we tell you is to go buy your ticket on Southwest. So I just put these are fresh just from about an hour ago. You can see over here on the left, anybody flying with us. Oh, don't do that. Come on. Anybody flying with us from in the LA area, I'll be flying over there on, let's see, we're doing this on the 15th. I'll be going over there on the 14th and meeting all of you on the morning of the 15th at the airport. We're taking the 9 a.m. flight out and coming back on 12:40. Price has gone up a little bit, just about $150 each way, but still cheaper than if you look over there to the anytime fare. It's going to end up at $229 each way. So there's still time to save, looks like about $150. What is it? $160 if you round for the round trip, if you jump on it now. And then for those of you who might be more conveniently aligned to fly with us from Phoenix to Burbank on the next weekend, October 22nd, that fare is a little bit more over, but quite a bit cheaper coming back. And we're gonna go over at 9:40 in the morning, and we'll be back by 2:15 in the afternoon. Nice short day, a little lunch bunch group over there at the end of that, and we'd really love to have you. It's the best thing you can do, and you won't believe the sense of camaraderie that you get from flying with other people who are like-minded. Anything else we need to know? You've got the link in there, right, Dieter? I'm assuming to go there.
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to just read a comment from Mancha Schaefer, and she wrote her Denver Phoenix flights went very well, and she was amazed how comfortable she was. And like is the case with so many, she did have pretty intense anticipatory anxiety before, especially on her return flight. But here's the key. She said she kept to what she learned, and by the time she was boarding, she was okay. So big shout out, Mancha. And yeah, this is exactly it. We can't take away the edge, and Ron often speaks about that, you know, if there is clear turbulence, for example, everyone gets an arousal. Everyone gets that experience of something happening. The difference between, you know, Diane, Eric, and a fearful flyer would just simply be that your arousal level stays up there and continues to escalate and continues to spin stories, whereas, you know, it goes down for Ron and Eric and Diane, and they, you know, just like, okay, what's the next thing that we got to focus on here? So, and we will talk about that more a little later when we talk about our monthly group coaching call. So I just wanted to make that shout out to Mancha. Awesome. That's really so cool.
I'll put in a short plug to everybody. If you're still thinking about any of these flights, fall and winter is the best time of year for you to saddle up if you don't like turbulence. If you're not a turbulence fan, this will minimize your chances of taking a beating on the flight. It doesn't guarantee anything, but this, compared to spring and summer, is a much better time to roll the dice. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's we got this new thing going. I think we mentioned it casually, but we want to mention it more tonight. We want to turn the tables around, and we want to rate the airlines and how well they do with you as a fearful flyer. So with a lot of collaboration between Ali Anderson up in Salt Lake, one of our successful fearful flyers, and Dieter, They put together a Fearful Flyer airline satisfaction survey, and it's on the website, and I'm sure Dieter will put a link in the notes here. And real simple. If you have a flight, we'd love to have you. You can do this right off your mobile device, right? Be one of the things you do when you get to your destination. And step one is to get you started, 3 to 5 minutes to complete the survey. And then if you do that, you'll automatically be entered in to win a coaching session with me worth a couple $100. So we'd love to have people start filling that out, because we do want to be a center for influence with the airlines. As many of you know, there's virtually nothing that the airlines in the US do. British still has a program, and EasyJet over in Britain, they have recommenced their program over there. But beyond that, even a lot of the old programs in Europe have either suspended or they've canceled them. So this is one of the few places that you'll have a soft shoulder and an open ear to listen to what it's like for you. And we love your feedback on it. We think we got some good questions in there that we could maybe get into the media here down the road, and maybe get a little bit more widely acknowledged fact that fear of flying is a real thing, and maybe help the airlines be more responsive to that. Anything special about that, Dieter, that you can think of?
No, except thanks, Jim. Jim already took the survey. He had a couple of flights, so I hope that Mancha will as well. And another shout out is due for Sue Hopkins. I just saw in the comments, Sue booked a flight for herself and her husband to fly to North Carolina. And
Sue, holy
yes.
mackerel! Is this the first one since we flew in March?
I believe it might be. And for
God,
those
good for
who
you,
don't
Sue.
know, Sue
Yeah.
actually, I think, did not fly for 50 years.
50
so-
years. Yeah, she's got the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
She's our current record holder. That ought to be worth something. Yeah. But anyway, I was looking at the fares, and Southwest has a $29 fare on it. And one of the $29 fares, there aren't many of them, but one of them is between Boston and Baltimore, the route that we took. So I was looking
no
for that.
way.
Oh yeah, but we'd have to do it before the first week in February. But we're coming back, Boston. I got quite a few people since we did that flight last March, and it's looking like somewhere maybe in the New York area too, or maybe the next two areas that we targeted in the first quarter of next year. Just saying. Don't know for sure yet, but it's looking like that we might head up in that area there. So, okay. Next thing that we want to talk about is we had the lady on last week. Why can't her name just passed out of my mind? The TSA lady. Come on.
I'm trying to think of it.
Oh, gee, minute. You guys are supposed to better than
I
me.
can distract by already having a couple of
Patricia. It's Patty.
Patricia.
Patty. Yeah, we had Patty last week, Patty Mancha, and she alerted me to something that I was not aware of, and that is a special service. If you're a fearful flyer, and when you go to the airport, you can actually make an appointment with people in TSA. And so when Diane and I did our monthly class at the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport last Saturday night, we had not one, not two, but three people from the TSA show up and give us a little presentation. And I was totally amazed by that. They were all smiling, number one, very friendly. And they said that, you can go on the website and you can fill out a little form and all that. But if you give them a call up to 3 days prior, you want to do it like 72 hours or more before that. But if you call this number, and I believe this is for any airport, don't you think, Diane? It wasn't just there, and then they'll coordinate it, I think.
Yeah, probably, particularly the larger ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you'll get a central desk or something, and then they'll coordinate that for you. Okay. But anyway, it's called TSA Cares, aptly named, and it says call our helpline for assistance in getting through the checkpoint. And I thought, well, maybe that they just put you in a special line. No, they were talking about somebody will come and meet you, and they will take you up. And we don't want to tell everybody, but it looks like it's a way to bypass the line and everything. And it's for special needs, and they fully agreed that you all qualify in that. So take a look at that. And I don't know, maybe we'll put this up on the website, but we'll certainly put it in the notes for now.
Keep in mind, you're not bypassing the screening. When you say bypass the line, you're bypassing if there's a lot of people in line to get through, but everybody has to go through the screening process. So yeah.
So just sounds like a pretty neat deal there. And I don't know if somebody is flying out of a more regional airport, let me know if you use this service and see how extensive it is there. So anyway, okay. We have opened up the Clifford Takeoff 201 global online course monthly live group coaching call. That's a mouthful. Last month was the second one that we did. And of course, if you're enrolled in the 201 class, you automatically are eligible. You're going to get that every month. You're going to get a live coaching call. But now we are opening that up, and we're going to extend that even more here down the road in terms of the access. But for right now, and Dieter will be coming out with a link that you can sign up for that. It's right now it's $37, and you can join us on that call. And we'd love to have you. We had a number of people last month because we realized that we need to. People are out there looking for something a little bit that goes beyond what we do on the show here every week. We try to hit hot items and answer questions and things like that. But the online coaching webinar is we can go much more in depth and really get some one-to-one time. We can put you in the hot seat. Not to scare you, but just to answer your questions more specifically tailored to you. If anybody's out there that has attended that and wants to make a comment, we'd appreciate that. So let's see what else. I think we just talked maybe a little bit. We'll go into that into just talking about the okay, that stuff then. Yeah. So what we want to do is we're certainly going to talk about the major issues in this month's call. And do you have your calendar handy there, Dieter? It's what day?
It's October 20th.
20th. Okay. So we do it on the third Thursday of each month, and it runs from 6:30 to 8 o'clock Pacific time, 9:30 to 11 o'clock Eastern time. Okay. Sorry, it's a little late out there, but we do record it, and there'll be a replay for those people who registered for the webinar. And let's just talk a little bit about the number one thing that comes up for everybody. We used to talk about claustrophobia, fears about basic flight, flying, takeoff, landing, turbulence, and things like that. But everybody, really, the big bugaboo is really anticipatory anxiety. If you got anything that bugs you about flying, the more you think about it in advance, the more problematic it gets. And that's really what gets people off the airplane. And anticipatory anxieties is just the result of being triggered by the thought of some aspect of flying, whether it's something mechanical or whether it's something emotional, just like being trapped in the airplane and then ruminating over that where you can't get rid of it. When you think about attention, attention happens automatically, whether it's watching somebody, a threat from traffic or something like that. We normally think of it in terms of negative things, because that's the way our survival instinct is wired to have a priority in that. But we also, our attention is captured by other things, people we love, your kids coming in, all kinds of positive things as well. But we're definitely biased toward the negative. And some people have said as high as like 13-to-1 greater priority for that. I joke with people sometimes, imagine you and I or Diane or Eric or Dieter, one of us flying with you, and you're thinking, okay, well, this should be a good experience because I got one of the big guys here with me. And then we take off and then we pull a gun on you. Where's your fear of flying in that moment? It's completely gone, right? Because that's the nature of our survival instinct. It's automatically prioritized and wired to move to the greatest threat in that moment. And so fear of flying really becomes an issue or a challenge to get your attention back when it gets hijacked. And so that's the focus of Fearless Flight. That's what our Fearless Flight method focuses on, is educating you about that, teaching you how to disrupt and distract your mind and your thinking, and building a sense of community with people like you. And with all that, for any of you out there that are on the line or still wondering what your next step is, if you haven't done a 15-minute coaching call, please consider doing that. And one of the things that we highly recommend now is joining the Clear for Takeoff 201 online course, which is up in the cloud and available on your portable device. So, anything else out there, Dieter, or any comments that Diane, you and Eric might have?
Well, Eric brought to my attention.
Hot potato.
Okay. From the perspective of flight attendants, Eric saw, and I did as well, on the news that the FAA finally is going to pass the rule. Apparently, it will become effective 30 days after it's entered into the Federal Register, for a mandatory 10-hour rest between 14-hour work days for flight attendants.
Whoa, that's huge.
That is huge. Now, my company has had that for a few years. That became our airline's policy after I started flying with them. I've been flying now going on 3.5 years. So it was a year or so into my employment where my airline made that their policy, which was more, which was along the line and earlier than the FAA. I'm not aware of all of the other airlines and what their policies were, but up until this time, the FAA's regulation was 9-hour rest. And both Eric and Ron have, yeah, there you go, have a great understanding.
He's optimistic about the future.
Yes, of what 10 hours means. Now, what y'all have to understand is 10 hours. It would be lovely if it was 10 hours behind the hotel room door, but our rest period starts when the door opens of the aircraft. And so we need to get everybody off the plane. We have to get ourselves off the plane. We have to get the van to the hotel. And if the van is late, then that cuts into our rest period. So the longer the mandatory rest period is, the more likely we all are to have an adequate amount of rest, completely uninterrupted, which means the company cannot call us. We cannot be refloat. We cannot be asked to work, because if the company calls us on our phone, that resets the clock and the 10 hours starts from then. So it sounds like not that much of a big deal for you all, but it is huge. It is really huge, because flying, as both of the guys understand, can be very tiring, and long days are really long days. And some of our days, the van picks us up at the hotel at 4:30 in the morning. So that means we're up by 3:30 or so. And to get to the airport for that first early morning flight, which may depart at 5:30 in the morning. And so it's a huge deal. So we're all applauding the FAA finally for.
Well, you guys all both saw, everybody saw Ron and I react to that. What a big deal it is. And that is a huge deal. And I suspect Diane's company is in the gross minority of requiring that right now. Yeah. So most people are getting less than that, 8 or whatever, until this goes from a notice of proposed rulemaking, as they call it when the FAA submits this to Congress until it becomes a rule. I think most people are getting 10 hours flight attendants are in the minority. And as Diane said, that's not behind the hotel door. If you do the quick math on that, that probably means six hours of sleep, maybe, hopefully. So it's not a lot.
Yeah.
So for those of you who always anxiously look at every expression that the flight attendants make, you might see them smiling more in the future.
If we're yawning, and if we're yawning, that was one of the really good things about wearing a mask. You couldn't tell when we were yawning. Never mind. Just
yeah.
Well, I do want to quickly. There were a couple of comments. So one of the things why we recommend, and why we opened it actually up to everyone, not just the people in the enrolled in the 201 course, is that the monthly group coaching calls, they really provide for a much more intimate setting. Like we do limit the attendance, so there is always an element of personal connection there that we want to provide for you. And so Don actually just posted an interesting comment. I think we often are afraid of our own fear. We fear it will be somehow overwhelming and never end. And this is exactly what anticipatory, it's the essence of anticipatory anxiety, if really well put. And you may have a predisposition to being wired that way, Don, but it is not a life sentence at all. And you can absolutely learn to, we often use the word being mindful. Being mindful of the pattern, being mindful of what's going on is very different than being in the throes of it all, right? So that's the key. And then if you were at any one of our last couple coaching calls, you would hear the feedback from people that say, well, I still felt the anxiety, I still felt that come on, but I was able to meet it much better than I've ever been before. And that allowed me then to implement the tools and the strategies that I have learned, at FearlessFlight, and that provided me with a better experience. And now I'm building each of those flights. So that's one of the key things. And if you're going to Germany in November, I highly recommend showing up for the call on October 20th. That would be a great timing for that.
As a matter of fact, Don, you're one of the reasons that we've tailored the topic for coming up for the 20th. It was because of the comment that you made in the on the Facebook group there. So we can blame it on you for that. And hey, I just renewed our membership to Zoom today for a year, so we're going to be there whether you are or not. So you might as well come and join us. And the other thing, I think it's helpful. It's helpful to all for people to be there and to participate. That there's when people come on, when you can see the others in there, and you can hide your video if you need to, but we really like it when people come on there. And I think it's really good for you to come on and kind of own your fear, step into it, and realize that it's certainly not fatal, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And we relish the participation and the topics that you all bring up. And it's not that there's anything all that new, but sometimes you just hear people express it, or you hear one of us say something about it in a nuanced or different way, and it makes a difference, because it's just, you just got to keep hanging in there. And we really like you to come and join us on the.
I just want to answer. Sharon is asking, is it like cognitive behavior psychotherapy. Yes, Sharon, there are elements of CBT definitely in there, for sure. But we like to really bring together a lot of different, that's my psychotherapy talk, a lot of different modalities, a lot of different angles, and we really
a lot of cause for optimism to make you more optimistic.
We really have space
because that's what you need
for the rest of my life, right?
Yep. No matter who you are, the thing that's going to get you on the airplane is the confidence. Not that your anxiety is not going to show up, because it's going to show up. But you need the confidence, so you're going to be able to manage it. That's what you guys lack right now, is that you don't have the confidence. Sai, when we flew to India, the day before we got on the airplane, 21 panic attacks. He was just really concerned, and then all of a sudden it hit him. The panic was happening outside the airplane, and he said, "Holy cow, this doesn't really have anything to do with airplanes." And he had just an amazing experience on the way over to Doha, and then on to India. So it's getting you the confidence that you can manage it, and that's the hard part, because where you're sitting right now, many of you are saying, "I don't see how you can get there. I just don't see how I can get there." And trust me, you can. With Mancha Schaefer and Ty Tavares. And Ty was really, really worried about it. We did a quick coaching call the other day, the day before he left, and I can't tell you the number of times that people tell me, "I don't know, I'm going to do it tomorrow." The next thing I know is they're telling me I made it, and then I get a little text from them. And same for Ellie Ritchie. So you can do it. If they can do it, you can do it. And we really want to be a part of that, because it makes us all feel better. So anyway,
Ron, do you think you will be attempting to carry the springy little red thing with the antennas through security when you're flying with a private client? Are you going to try?
I think so. I think that's, especially if I go through the pre-check, I can get that through there.
And I don't know,
no problem.
He's got no weapons. He's got the Danish flag, so that that ought to work. So.
And I'm sure the Mexican Marines and federal police would think that he's fabulous. That'll probably work out well on one of your cabo turns.
Absolutely.
Jim Duke just suggested that this is becoming the show's new mascot.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And my more from Copenhagen, or from actually a town outside of Copenhagen, she will be totally impressed that I put this on TV. But she brought that all the way from Denmark, and I thought that was very thoughtful. He's a cute little critter. So anyway, all right. Well, this is the place to come every week. We hope that we've at least made it worthwhile for some of you to spend at least a few minutes with us. And on behalf of Diane and Eric and Dieter, we'd like to thank you for another week, and we'll see you again next week on Fearless Flight Live. So have a great week, everybody.